Mr. Chairman, and to the members of the committee, it is good to be back on the upper side of the chamber. Thank you very much for allowing me to come back. It's good to see old friends that I had the privilege of serving with, particularly my friend Ms. Norton on the Rules Committee. We enjoyed our long hours working through the wonders of committee life in the House. I'd like to also say to Chairman Gowdy, congratulations on your chairmanship, and I am certain that you will make America proud as you search for the truth wherever it may take us. I want to thank Senator Booker, who has been my friend and champion on a number of issues that we have both championed together, from my opportunity agenda, from working on ways to reinvest in distressed communities, to criminal justice reform, to apprenticeship programs. He has been a true champion for the people on a number of initiatives that go far beyond my agenda, and it's good to have him here with us today. Criminal justice reform is a critical topic facing our nation as a whole. Today's hearing is focused on recidivism and reentry programs, and I'd like to spend a few minutes on a broader topic first, the topic of incarceration as a whole. What's the best way for us to reduce recidivism? To ensure people from all walks of life and from every single community have access to opportunity. For too many, and specifically communities of color, this is simply not the case. The poverty rate among Blacks and Hispanic Americans is between 2 and 3 times higher than the majority population. Nearly a quarter of the children who live in poverty do not graduate from high school, compared to just 6% of those kids who never lived in poverty. 78% of those in prison do not have post-secondary education. They did not graduate from high school. What does that mean? Well, in 2010, a person who did not graduate from high school had an income of around $19,000. The person who graduated from high school had an income of around $28,000. Graduating from college, $52,000. Black and Hispanic dropout rates are consistently higher. From 1963 to the year 2012, the annual Black unemployment rate for this nation was around 11.6%. To put that in perspective, during all the recessions that happened during those 50 years or so, the average unemployment rate for the entire nation was around 6.7%. Very different patterns. More Black and brown children grow up in poverty. More do not graduate from high school. More earn less, and more are oftentimes employed less. As you, Chairman, and so many others have heard my story, as a kid growing up in a single-parent household who flunked out of high school as a freshman, I understand intimately and personally what these statistics translate to in the real world. It translates into a pipeline that too often leads to incarceration, a pipeline that too often leads to low expectation of oneself, and a pipeline that too often reinforces the negative stereotypes that are pervasive in our society. And the impact that it has on the human condition is tremendous, and it is consistently negative. I believe that those are some of the reasons why Black men like myself, are incarcerated at a rate 6 times higher than men that look like you. This is an epidemic that we have to wrestle with as a nation, as one American family working together to find solutions that work for everyone in every place, no matter where they started. The concept of opportunity as a solution for incarceration is something that is real, it is measurable, and it is something that I've lived, thankfully, through. While we must find ways to promote and lower recidivism rates, I want us to continue to focus on opportunity, improving our education system, encouraging entrepreneurs and small business owners to grow and invest in low-income communities. This can solve a lot of problems and specifically prevent the conversation of recidivism. I've had an opportunity to sit down with quite a few organizations to talk about reducing recidivism. I visited few state prisons in South Carolina with Brian Sterling, who I'm happy to see, the director of our Corrections Institute, will be on the next panel. One such program I visited is called Turning Leaf, located in Charleston, South Carolina, run by Amy Bach. She has a recidivism rate of 18%, when our national average is closer to 70%. And she deals with only the most difficult inmates. Another program is called Proverbs 22:6, which works throughout both South Carolina and North Carolina to help reconnect inmates with their families. My chief of staff and I visited both Kershaw and Lee County Correctional Facilities with Proverbs 2:26 founder Cyril Prabhu. And what we experienced that day was the reconnection of inmates with their children, with a program that transforms the life of the inmate and gives him a reason to believe that the future can be different. To watch the reunification of family after we served them lunch and spent a couple of hours talking with them was one of the most moving experiences I've had in my life. And I understood why the success of the recidivism program, Proverbs 2:26, has been so powerful in the lives of these inmates. Here's a statistic that we should pay attention to, and this is why Proverbs 2:26 is so important. 82% probability for a child whose parent is in prison to end up in prison. Let me say that one more time. If a child has a parent in prison today, there is an 82% probability that that child will end up in prison. Working to reconnect families is one of the ways that we can reduce recidivism. What is the recidivism rate for the Proverbs 2:26 program? 6%. 6%. Since 2012, the number of children in the program have gone from 800% to 5,000 children whose parents are incarcerated in 10 different prisons. I was in California last weekend meeting with programs in California, the Bridge Academy, that basically fills the gap. So they don't replicate any existing programs. They simply connect not the inmate, but the entire family to the programs and resources that are already available. They make them aware of them. They make sure that they attend, and then through an 18-month process, their recidivism rate is 0. There are ways for us to improve public safety, reduce recidivism, and restore families and the American dream for people who had lost hope. I look forward to the national debate that must continue on this very important topic. I know I'm running out of time. As you know, that we in the Senate can't necessarily tell 5 minutes of time. We anticipate that you give us a 10 minutes or an hour. That might be too long. Let me just say that your commitment, Mr. Chairman, the committee's willingness to hear the testimonies, ask questions, is a very important part of what we can do to help restore the American dream for so many people in so many dark places that have lost hope. I want to thank you again for holding this important hearing. My door will remain open to work with anyone from anywhere at any time to address this very important issue. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.